Hello and welcome to another episode of the Knock On Podcast, brought to you by the good people at Zero Tackle. And Dan, the Daley Awards have literally just wrapped up. You and I, our ticket must have got lost in the mail, our invitation got lost somewhere. But that's what we're going to kick the show off with tonight before we talk some rugby league.
Absolutely we are. Now, we held recording back not only a day but a couple of hours because you said, oi, Daley M's starting soon, why don't we wait? And I thought, yeah, that's a good kickoff. Thought we won't break down every walk, so we'll be here for 3 weeks. What were your thoughts overall? Anything stand out, good, bad, or indifferent?
I think the correct person won the award. I think there is no doubt in my mind that you have watched this year, and if you say anything other than Jerome Hughes was the best player in the NRL, yeah. If you were to say that James Tedesco wasn't the second best player in the NRL as well, I wouldn't hear that. They were clearly the two best players in the NRL. I don't like the fact that it was so close, but I understand that at the beginning of the year, the Roosters had a good start to the year and they had a great finish to the year. They dipped in the middle, whereas Jerome Hughes started a little bit slow, waited for the whole Munster situation to come, for him to come back and Harry Grant and Origin, etc., before he really took over. But look, the right person won the award. You can have absolutely no complaints about that.
Yep, I agree. I just want to double down. I was a little bit worried Tedesco was going to pip him late. He was very good when Hughes had a rest and also lost 6 points to that farcical suspension you and I both argued was rubbish then, and I maintain is rubbish now. Were there any awards or anyone in the team of the year, any awards that you thought, they probably got that wrong?
Yeah, look, I think if you're going to give an award to a player who didn't play finals football, because you're gonna know who I'm talking about here in a minute. But I heard that Alofi Khan Pereira didn't get in the team of the year because he didn't play finals football, but neither did Zach Lomax. But Alofi Khan Pereira scored 100 more tries. And I get Zach Lomax had a great start to the year and he had a great Origin campaign as well, but he was really bad for the remainder of the year. I also, I know he is the best winger in the world at the moment, but I don't think Brian Toto was one of the best wingers in the competition this year. I can also hear a claim that Herbie Farnworth was only good for the last 6 weeks of the competition, which shot him into contention, which probably just shows that it's Stephen Crichton and everybody else is a peg or two below him. And of course, Matt Burton finished way ahead of Tom Dearden in the Daley M points, but didn't get the Team of the Year award. Make it make sense.
It doesn't make any sense because you hear this, it's judged on this and judged on that. It should just be judged on who's the best player in the competition. For me, Zach Lomax's inclusion is criminal because the last 6 weeks, Dragons fans were saying let him go early. That's all you need to know because he just wasn't, well, it's not that he wasn't putting in, but he wasn't performing up to the Zach Lomax standard. After Origin 3, if you'd said Zach Lomax is going to win Winger of the Year, I'm like, well, of course he is. He's going to win it by a mile, but he went missing after. I just want to say I think they got the women's team spot on. 1 or 2 I might have changed. I think Elsie Albert and Ellie Johnson were hard done by up front, but which prop are you dropping? I'm okay with all the women's awards. I do have to say, though, and my boy's there, but that Rookie of the Year was downright ridiculous. For me, it was Lachlan Galvin was the winner. Let's not beat around the bush. He was the best rookie. Kaylero was so far ahead of Ethan Strange, and then it was daylight to Max Plath, and then I think you can get Jack Bostock fourth. When he won, my phone blew up and everyone's like, nah, that's a Wayne Bennett favour. He was owed. I made a joking tweet saying Jack Bostock's just tall. Don't forget, this is the guy. I did something for Zero Tackle about a month, 2 months, about a month after Origin, with about 10 weeks to say. And I said, Bostock's going to win the Rookie of the Year. Then he did nothing. And Kaylero bossed international centre after international centre after international centre, broke over 100 tackles, scored tries, set up tries, just made mincemeat of the competition, made Cornellum's left edge matter after it was a joke all year last year and before he came in this year. And he lost out to a bloke who caught and foil for a couple of tries early in the season, can't tackle, and for his height, can't take a high ball. I won't say offended, Terry, but I was put off hugely by that to the point I almost turned off. If we weren't recording tonight, I would have turned off in disgust. I think the women's coach of the year going to Scott Prince over Tony Herman. Again, my boy, I'm a Cronulla fan. I get that he won the minor premiership, but it was because the Roosters took the foot off the pedal late. And Cronulla were outsiders to make the 4. They came fourth. Scott Prince was up 1 game ahead of them with a crop of internationals. Miss me with that rubbish.
Yeah, I can hear an argument either way for Scott or Herman, and I think the fact that Scott propelled his team to the minor premiers where Cronulla lost their final 3 games may have hurt him. And especially, like, you've got so much to play for in the final round and he didn't get him up for the Tigers game. But that's okay, because Tony Herman got him up for the game that counts. I did love, right, and I did love, there's a lot to love and hate about this awards night. And I love the fact that in the NRLW, a spine player didn't win it.
Yeah.
In fact, the best back rower in the competition, and you and I both said it the other night. I said to you, pick your smoky, and you said, it's Olivia Koenig, right? And so I was like, well, fair enough, fair play. And you and I were both saying, for Ford was going to win, it should be Brooke Anderson because of the way that she started the season. But Olivia Koenig was a great shout by you. I think though with these awards, they kind of need to give them a heads up that, hey, maybe you are a shout at winning this, because Olivia Koenig had no idea, had no speech. She's just expecting a fullback or a halfback or a 5'8" to win the award. And so they announced her as the winner, and she was just like, well, thanks to my coach and thanks to my teammates and thanks Millie Boyle for making sure I got to training and ate some food. Like, just give them the heads up. Give them a tap on the shoulder. You're a contender.
Of course, I liked it. I thought her speech was good. I caught the start of Jerome Hughes before we started recording. He's an ultimate professional. I think Tiana Penatani was the star of the night, though. The way she composed it, she's going to be an absolute superstar. After the game, shout out to her. Look, overall, though, if you give me all those awards, 1 or 2 nitpicks, but I think they largely got it right, which is not something you can always say about this particular awards night. But moving on, we've got some signing news. Daniel Saifiti is a Dolphin. For a long time there, it looked like he was going to stay at the Knights because he wanted too much money. The Dolphins have come in and said, yes, thank you. You and I linked him to the Dolphins, being that they're losing Bromwich, the other Bromwich. Kafusi's about 140. They lost Wallace. Good signing?
Yeah, I like Daniel Saifiti. He is an Origin player. Let's put it there. And he didn't let anyone down in the rep arena. I think this year you kind of saw from him at about round 20 onwards that the talk was hampering his performances. That he was looking to leave Newcastle, and that Newcastle were okay with him leaving. And I think he's got a twin brother who plays there, right? So that's got to be pretty hard because he's grown up with this guy. He's played every single rep team with this guy. He's made his first grade debut in the same team as this guy. They've both played Origin together, and now they're going to play against each other. That was probably really hard for Daniel to come for. And then everyone thought that he was going to go to the Dragons, and there was the rumor that he had the medical midweek when they had the bye. And then all of a sudden the Dragons pulled the offer on that because they thought they were going to get Regan Campbell-Gillard. So then he meets with the Dolphins, and then the Dolphins tell him that he wants too much money. And it's not on Daniel Saifiti to drop his wage demands because that's what he's on at Newcastle. So then it became, obviously what's happened is Saifiti has gone to Newcastle and said, I want to go and play there. You want me off your books. You need to make a deal with them on how much you're going to chip in to my wages for the remainder of my contract. And a deal has been done. But that's not the only player that the Dragons have picked up as well, because they picked up a Fanai brother.
They split 2 sets of twins up this week.
Yes.
It
was Max. Max they picked up, right?
Yeah, I like both these signings. I think Daniel Saifiti starts for them. I think Fanai, he's not.
He's depth.
He's there for a shot, but I think getting him and his brother separated is a good thing because they felt like, look, I couldn't tell them apart. You could show me 2 pictures. I couldn't tell you who's who. Cronulla or boss both of them. That's sort of the joke we tell. But this kid had a wow of a flag career. He played really well in New South Wales Cup. Probably couldn't make the jump because the feeling was like one of the brothers is going to make it. Which one is it going to be? And they were competing for the same spot. I think this is a good move for the Dolphins. It's both are good signings because there's zero risk. You got Daniel Saifiti. You know what you're going to get. And you get this young kid. If it doesn't work out, who cares? I think they've done good business here.
I think the Dolphins have picked up some sensational players. One very good starting front row, one depth piece. Sorry, my phone is blowing up from these Daily M Awards. Maybe we shouldn't have recorded tonight.
That's it. We'll wait and see. But while we're sticking with player movements, not confirmed yet, but it looks all but that Jack Williams is on his way to Parramatta. Now, I don't want to take the lead on this one, Terry. I had a lot of Parramatta fans message me, of course, being a Sharks fan myself, saying, what's Jack Williams like? I feel like we have too many second rowers. Cool. Jack Williams should never, ever, 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 ever play second row for you. He's a middle and a damn good one. Good signing.
Yeah, if you're signing Jack Williams to play second row, expect a lot of traffic to be run down that edge. Jack Williams is a lock or a lightweight, on the front foot, leg speed front rower, and that's it. We've put him on an edge. We brought him as an edge back rower from Canberra, and quite quickly he found a love for protein and weights and became a very, very good middle forward. Look, Jack Williams divides the Sharks fan base because for everything good that he does, and he can run for 200 metres, and he can make 47 to 47 tackles in the game, but he drops one ball, and that's all fans seem to remember. And they will tell you that he drops the ball twice every week, despite the fact that he only made 14 errors this year in 24 games. I've taken the news a little bit harder than you on the basis that I am a Jack Williams truther, and I believe that he is a very, very good player, and this is a good signing for Parramatta. At the beginning of the year, we've said it on the Fins Up podcast that I was very, very thankful that we re-signed Braden Hamlin-Uele and we got him cheaper than the Warriors deal, and apparently on the same deal that he's currently on at the moment. But it's now cost us Jack Williams, who, in my opinion, is a better player than Hamlin-Uele. And yeah, I'm not taking this as well as I could, but look, any Parramatta fans, if you want to know the lowdown on Jack Williams, feel free to shoot us a message because you'll get the absolute truth from me about him with a couple of drop balls.
That's it. I think it's a good pickup for Parramatta. They let Reed and Campbell-Gillard go. They obviously felt he was on too much money. You're going to get Jack Williams for, probably not cheap, but you're going to get him for cheaper than Campbell-Gillard. You're going to get similar output. You get a younger player who probably offers a little bit more in a wide variety of positions because Campbell-Gillard is a prop. Williams is lock prop. He can play a bit of second row. I wouldn't, but it's there. He's going to give you it all. I think it's a great pickup from Parramatta. As a Sharks fan, I was a little upset to see him go. I think the players coming through make it a good value decision, but in terms of personnel, he's a fantastic player and he's going to be hard to replace. I'm a little bit sad about this, but Parra, good pickup. You can get value for money. Yeah, you're going to get an error. But show me a forward in the competition that doesn't drop the ball too. Moving on to the rep arena, we had a quick chat on who we think should coach New South Wales, but the following names have been linked. Laurie Daley, Michael Ennis, and Craig Bellamy, who, yeah, of course, but mate, these are the girls I want to date. Jennifer Hawkins, Avril Lavigne. It ain't going to happen. He's not going to drop out of the Storm. The Storm has said no. They've said we don't want an NRL coach. What's wrong with Justin Holbrook? What's wrong with Jeff Tuvey? Josh Jackson, the names we discussed. If they lock in Laurie Daley, yuck. Michael Ennis, yuck.
I'll tell you what, Jeff Tuvey has been written off as never to coach again. He's failed stint at Manly, he's failed stint at Bradford. There is just something about him where people won't touch him, and I don't think it would be a good selection for New South Wales, which is why I hope they do pick him up. Similar with Justin Holbrook as to the NRL coach. I think Justin Holbrook wants to stay as the Roosters coach because, somewhere along the lines, Trent Robinson can't coach there forever and an NRL job is going to open up. So I think Justin Holbrook is probably going to wait a year or two before he goes and launch it. Like, he's only a young coach, so he can launch himself into the rep arena to get his reputation back up there. I've seen some people turn around and say, you know what? Let's just hire Paul Gallen, similar to how Queensland got Mal Meninga, and now they've got Billy Slater in there as well, and just surround him with some really good assistant coaches. I don't hate that shout. If there's one person during that run of Queensland domination that you could always count on to have a great game for New South Wales and know what it means for New South Wales, and he captained some really bad New South Wales teams to some games that they probably shouldn't have won or shouldn't have come close to winning, but did. I think Gallen's a good shout. Throw his mate Greg Bird in there as well because, if the going gets tough, they're probably just going to put a jersey on and take a hit up themselves.
Definitely. I don't like going backwards. I don't think Laurie Dale is the answer. I don't like listening to him talk football. I don't like his vision on football. I'm just not a fan. Michael Ennis, I get. He's very much in the Paul Gallen sort of, he's going to bleed, he's going to die for the jersey, he hates Queensland, he's going to get you up. You need to surround him by 3 or 4 real top assistant coaches. But Craig Bellamy's obviously the one because Cleary's not moving from that job. The thinking is maybe they get someone for a year and Bellamy comes in, or maybe Bellamy does it for a couple of weeks. He's not going to do anything that hurts his at the Storm. Like, he's just not going to do that. He'll probably... We're supposed to retire at the end of next year, but he's supposed to retire for the last 3, so I wouldn't count on that. My feeling is that Billy Slater's going to go into Melbourne. Bellamy's going to go up into a coaching director and he's going to take over New South Wales. That I can absolutely see happening, but not right now. I just think you need to put someone in who's not Laurie Daley, and anyone that's not Daley or Fittler or Alexander or Johns or any of those group, because they oversaw an utter failure. It is what it is. They lost to some pretty, it's all Queensland sides are good, but not very good ones. And that COVID end of year one was reserve grade worthy in a half-dead Cam Munster off a 6-week bender. I'll never forgive them for that. I think Bellamy's the one they got to chase for next year, and if they got to put an interim in, so be it, throw Ennis in. I don't care, write this one off, win the next 10. But if it's Laurie Daley, Terry, so help me God. Let's stick with the coaches, mate. The Tigers have fixed all the problems, by bringing in Brett Hodgson. What are they doing?
I saw this the other day and thought it was an absolute joke. Now, look, he's only an assistant coach, and fair play to him as well, but really?
Mate, he and Chris Wellington are the assistant coach. He and Chris Heinington are the assistant coaches. For a bloke in his second year who won, 5 games, and they celebrated almost avoiding a wooden spoon? They're just setting him up to fail, I'm convinced.
Well, at least Brett Hodgson has had some coaching experience, right? So he's been the head coach of Hull FC. He oversaw, about 60-odd games, and I think he had like a 40% win rate. But holy crap, right? So, yeah, look, it's not inspiring. Like, I mean, they might as well have kept Robbie Farah and then go and get John Scandella. So Bryce Gibbs loves them. Yeah. Get all the boys there. What's Pat Richards doing?
That's the problem, though. They keep going to this old boys club that they've moved off 6 or 7 times. They got rid of Potter because he was too close to the players, and they're bringing in more players.
Do you know who they should bring in that could really help them from, just to cap off the 2005 season? What's Tim Sheens doing?
Oh, well, he oversaw a premiership 25 years ago. Let's bring him back. Mate, I don't hate Brett Hodgson. I think he's a good footy mind. I always liked him as a player. That pass he threw for New South Wales aside, he did great. I'm pretty sure he's got some New South Wales Cup experience. But Benji's a rookie coach, and you can't surround him by blokes with less experience in Heinington and not that much more in Hodgson. You and I both said that this couldn't work if they surround him with 2 assistant coaches with plenty of experience, former NRL coaches or long-term assistants. And they've given him 2 mates of his.
So I'm having a look here at his coaching career. He returned to the West Tigers for the 2018 season as an assistant coach and head coach for the feeder team, the Western Suburbs Magpies. He said, "It's great to be back and living out at Campbelltown where I grew up." November 2020, Hodgson was named the new coach of Hull FC. And in March 2023, Hodgson joined Eddie Jones's Wallabies coaching team as a defensive coach. This came after Hodgson had previously been hired by Jones in the same role with England's national rugby union team until Jones was sacked. So he does have some coaching pedigree, and it's probably not a glamour name, but yeah. Look, long may the West Tigers' reign of stupidity continue, because they get rid of the board who they were saying were making all these bad decisions, and they've just brought in another board who let a guy interview himself to take on the coaching job and then thrown Benji Marshall under an absolute train wreck. And now they're bringing in people who are not going to help. Like, if Jerome Luai fires blanks next year, they're in big trouble.
Yeah, they are. I don't get it. I honestly thought they were going to bring in a world-class assistant. Like, they've got to commit someone to go there as assistant coach, and it can't be players from the team that won the comp 20 years or 25 years ago. Like, I don't get it. They needed anyone just not involved. It's so frustrating. I want the Tigers to be less terrible, not good, but less terrible. And I can't see this doing it, to be honest. Let's talk some scandal, some stupid opinions, Terry, which you and I love to divulge in. Nelson Solomona is suspended for the grand final, I think justly, because he's done it 36 times this year. People have come out and said, he should serve it next year. Tell me why that is the dumbest thing you've ever heard.
I think people are going on about like the whole Talon May got a suspension for the following year because he was injured or whatever, and Latrell Mitchell's serving a suspension in round 1 next year, I believe.
Yeah, because he wasn't fit to play.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm in two different camps of like if a suspension is going to cost a player a grand final, maybe you can turn around and say to him, you can miss the grand final, we can double it next year. But then you run the risk of someone going out and just like throwing an elbow at Nathan Cleary in game one and getting sent off or sin binned or whatever, or in minute one, sorry. On the flip side, it never should have got to this point with Nelson, and I think the match review committee and the judiciary system and the process needs this whole overhaul because during the year you can offer a player a fine or a suspension. And unless you're Ryan Madison, most of the time they're going to take the fine. So what happens then is they take the fine, but they get carryover points, and they get carryover points, right? And Nelson does dumb things on the ground, on the field because he's an enforcer, and he, there's a line, and he loves to push that line as much as he can, and he will take a $1,800 fine or a $3,000 fine. And this is the thing: he's done 6 things this year. 6 things. Nelson has gone. The match review committee have turned around and said you can have a suspension or you can have a fine. And Nelson's paid 6 fines. It's the 7th offence. The 7th offence of the season for him. This is why he's getting suspended. So on a case like him, I'm happy for him to miss the grand final when you go back and you figure out how many times that he's been a prick. If you were to throw this on the flip side, right, and hear me out as to why I think this could be a good option, right? Say Isaiah did that tackle. The same tackle. Isaiah, who has not been in front of the judiciary for about 2.5 seasons or not had a fine or anything like that for 2.5 seasons, but that was going to rub him out of the grand final. Do you not think it would then be able to turn around and go, okay, clean skin for 2 years, bad situation, copped a sin bin, you can serve your suspension in round 1 next year, but you can play the grand final. But someone like Nelson on his 7th offence, no, it doesn't count.
It's got to be all or nothing. Can't be making, because there'll be someone, they'll go, oh, in year 10 he was a school captain and he helped an old lady cross the road, or the someone shined a laser in his eye 3 years ago and that counted for suspension. You open in a huge, I get it, you open a can of worms, but that's why the carryover points are there, because Yo wouldn't be suspended for this. He would have copped the fine like Nelson did.
But if they had hit Yo with a grade 3, he would have been suspended.
If you get a grade 3, you got to be suspended. I can see why, and I did come in combatively hoping you would argue, but you hit the nail on the head. You telling me that it's 70th minute and it's 16 all. Wait, Royce, go take out Cleary. Elbow to the face, gets rid of him. He can't kick the field goal. We go down and score. Royce Hunt can miss 8 weeks next year, but he's lining up for the grand final. Absolutely not. Some coach, some player will take full advantage of this and will be left with egg in the face. The difference was the Talon May thing happened in the preseason. The NRL ifed and ended, and even though they got footage, they were, but they left it too late. And to suspend him for that would have been like, and do not get me wrong, I'm not going to cry any tears for him or in this incident, but the NRL had to own that. And they're like, oh, sorry, we should have suspended you 8 weeks ago. You should be back by now. That's right. And the Terrell tried to use the system and failed. So that's why that's next year. I get those. But for someone to come up and say, Nelson, look, we know you've done it 6 times previously and you almost killed a bloke and you probably, some people said it was a send-off, not for me. I was happy with the sin bin. But you knocked him out and Lindsay Collins didn't play a single minute after that one tackle involved in. You can play the grand final next week. That just doesn't sit right for me. I think people are overcomplicating it.
But the thing about it is, this is probably the least offensive thing that he has done in the year. Like, we've seen him pick up dudes by the back of the head and slam his full weight into the ground and cop a fine for it. We've seen him elbows on the ground, elbows up when he's running. He's knocked people out when he's running that way. And then this is probably the one tackle from Nelson where you turn around and you went, well, it's only happened because they're both tall.
True.
Right?
But
if the judiciary system had the balls to suspend him during the year, he wouldn't be in this situation now.
He could have taken any of those suspensions and said, look, I'm going to learn from this. I'm taking a week off. Of course, that's ridiculous, but That's all we're talking now. Now let's move on to the last one, mate. Your mate, Kevin Walters. It's come out that he was blindsided by the sacking, that they're claiming is leaving. Don't buy into that. He didn't leave. They told him, or he'd go. All the Broncos fans are blowing up saying he didn't show him respect. My thinking is, because evidently Madge agreed to this a long time, or a week ago, or they had talks and said, are you ready? Because there's no way they were going to walk in without having someone lined up. It wasn't a toxic situation. It was just a we can be better situation. If he hadn't won premierships for them as a player, no one would care.
What I found really great on about this whole Kevin Walters thing was Gordon Tallis went on a rant saying they don't give coaches enough time. Look at the job that Anthony Seibold's doing at Manly. Google Gordon Tallis, Anthony Seibold rant, and find out what he actually thought of Anthony Seibold when he was at Brisbane. Because Gordon Tallis was the first one that wanted him walked for Kevin Walters. He's a part of the problem.
Yes.
And then they turn around and Gordon Tallis turns around and says, lose my number, I'm a Titan. Well, what do you care? Right? The fact of the matter is that Kevin Walters had the Broncos in 2022 in the top 4 and they missed the finals with about 4 weeks to go. In 2023, they were up 16 points with 15 minutes to go and they lost a grand final. And in 2024, they were the undeniable preseason favourites and were in the top 8 for the vast majority of the year. And then they had to worry about results going their way before they got smacked by their little brother and then 50 put on them by Melbourne as well. His time at Brisbane can only be seen as a failure. And like I honestly thought that they were going to give him one more season. But I see why they moved. Because Michael Maguire has done his hard yards, right? He did really well at Wigan. He did really well at South before it tapered off in the end. And South Sydney's recruitment and the player retention was a little bit questionable. And then he went to the West Tigers and he had the West Tigers. Like, they were a Paul Gallen field goal away from making the finals, right? Well, not really, because Cronulla smacked them. They win that game, they play the finals, right? Since then, they've just been horrible. They've been horrible, right? There's no two ways to face it. So, I don't know. Like, I honestly don't know what you can say about the Broncos, but Madge has gone to New Zealand and upset Australia in their heaviest defeat, and he's gone into an Origin campaign and he's won. So Brisbane are probably looking at that saying, right, he's gone into 2 hard arenas with big personalities. We've got big personalities. We've got Payne Haas, the biggest person in the game. We've got Reece Walsh, an absolute superstar. We've got Pat Carrigan. We've got Ezra Mam, superstar in the making. We've got Tony Staggs. Can he unlock these guys, right? So they've given him a 3-year deal, and we've seen that Brisbane don't care. They'll sack him if they have to and just bring the next person in. I think it's the right move.
Yeah, 100% agree. I'm going to cry no tears for Kevin Walters. Now, I know what Tallis did because he's his mate and you stick up for your mates. I get it. But how he can look at that and say, oh, Walters this, Walters that. No, the Broncos have been a laughingstock. Like, for them to not make the finals is like just unheard of, especially with that side. You're exactly right. They came in as undoubted preseason premiership favourites. They should have beaten Penrith last year. Let's call a spade a spade. They should be the premiers and they should be in the 8 this year. They're not because of bad coaching. They let Reece Walsh... I know they had an injury to Adam Reynolds, but every team had injuries. Jerome Hughes missed a lot of weeks, or Cam Munster missed half the bloody season. Nathan Cleary missed half the season. They finished 1 and 2. You can't make those excuses. I think Walters is just re-signing his son on big money. Just the optics don't look good because he's not that good. You know, you got Selwyn Cobbo who went off the rails. You got Tony Staggs who's good 1 in every 3 games. Tony Staggs should be good every game. You got Reece Walsh who, you know, they're in Bali acting up. I think that was the final straw. I think they heard that. I'm like, come on, you are kidding me. 2 of their young stars, he and Ezra Mam, got in trouble. They wouldn't have done that under Craig Bellamy, or Bellamy would have said, oi, don't, you idiots, you're throwing your career away, or he would have flicked them, and people would have wondered why. I think Walters had to go. I think Madge is the spot-on perfect replacement. Maybe they showed him a bit of disrespect, but they went to him and said, you can step down, or we're going to call a spade and say, you did not get the job done, and you've got to go. I think the Broncos have won huge in this. I think New South Wales have lost, because there's no way to go up from Madge Maguire. I think, well done to them. They made a hard call, and I don't care what Tallis thinks. I don't care what Wally Lewis thinks. I don't care what Darren Lockyer thinks. None of them are in the Broncos anymore. They're all in media or at the Titans. If they really want their team to win, Mads Maguire is the best one to lead them forward.
Yeah. We've seen that Kevin Walters can't win. So do something else.
Good on him, I think.
Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to one of the last episodes of the season of the Knock On podcast. Now, Dan and I will be back covering the Pacific Championships. We'll be back after the grand final as well. We'll give you a rundown of everything that happened. Don't forget this podcast is brought to you by the good people at Zero Tackle, your one-stop shop of all things rugby league, up-to-date player signings, rumours, transfers, the news and gossip, the best independent journalists and writers in the country, including my co-host, Dan, in capitals. Dan, what do you got for us this week, mate? 5 landing spots for who, 10 reasons why a grand final is going to be won here, 13 reasons why Ashley Klein is the best referee in the game. What do you got?
I agree with both those. And Scott, let's get on that Ashley Klein right away. That'll cause some trouble. I'm going to dive into...
How dare you?
Look, Scotty, I'm going to message you in a minute. Let's do this. Let's get some hatred going. I'm going to give the top 10 players in each position. A couple of years ago, I got literal death threats over these, and I laughed at them because the people whose profiles they sent from couldn't spell words correctly. Now, I can't either, but I can hit send on articles. So, yeah. Now, this always creates a stir because if I put someone number 7 and someone thinks they're number 6, I'm the worst in the world.
Oh, I got my hand up.
Yes, Ted.
Are you picking the top 10 left centres and top 10 right centres, or are you just picking the top 10 centres?
Top 10 centres. That's the only...
Boo!
Well, I could do the other, but it gets a bit longer too. Now, it'll be top 10 in every position. Look, with fullbacks, there's typically only 16, so you're probably going to get 1 or 2 that haven't had great seasons. But when you get to props and second rowers, that's when the real arguments start. And I, for one, cannot wait, Terry. Can I get a quick tip for the grand final for you this week?
I am tipping Penrith by 4. Oh, wait, who did I tip on the Outlaws?
Yeah.
Did I tip Penrith?
Yeah.
I'm tipping Penrith by 4. I'm going to tip Jerome Luai for the Clive Churchill medal. What about yourself?
I'm going to tip the Jets.
You're going to tip the Jets. Good one.